Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins for the Parc de Paris 2 and Champ de Mars tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Before we take a closer look, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. For those of you that do want to take an extra step in your game towards success, make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen or you go through the link that is in the description down below, patreon.com/golfclashtommy, and sign up already today. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. So, when it comes to hole number 1, it plays very similar to what it has done before. We're starting with the big topper. Even if you do have it in level 1, this is definitely going to be a great possibility for you to play the shot that I do display here on the screen with the big topper level 4. Max topspin, aim for the second bounce into the rough above the bunker, and then we're going to adjust for max plus 10. Something to have in mind that if you do not hit that rough pad, you might make a mistake and go directly into the bunker, then you will still have a safe shot to green and you can lock in the birdie. If you do miss the rough patch, you will most likely roll into the rough at the top, and then you will still have a chance for the eagle, or just playing it safely down to green for a birdie, because you still have distance enough to reach with your short iron. But in the best of the world, or like in the best scenario in the world, would be to clip the rough, roll out, and then we're going to look at the pin's position here now, or the hole's location, and that is more left than what it has been before. But this is one of the few holes with the new hole locations where we're not really going to change much. We're going to attack the pin in two ways. Either we bounce our ball down that downhill slope, or we're going for the dunk. The dunk is a very smart way of attacking this pin, and I understand that it might look complicated, but once you start working with dunks and stuff like that, it's actually a pretty fun way to play this game. Minimum distance minus 10% is what I'm playing here, using all the backspin to make sure that if I hit the pin, or if I make an adjustment and miss the hole completely, then I will still have the ball stay on the green because of all the backspin that I'm using. And then it's going to be a very safe way of getting a birdie. So in the end, hole number 1 offers a really good way to start off with an eagle, as it was back before the new hole locations as well. So, hole number 2, I would say that this is one of the harder changes they have made, meaning that this pin stands very difficult, and if you do not want to attack the pin with a very aggressive rough bump, we're going to have to play it similar to as we have done before, but we're going to have to play with a much tighter line. I'm using 1 right spin and 3 backspin here, and you can see here now that I'm aiming heavily to the right side of the pin. And the reason I do that is due to the crosswind coming right to left. I need to compensate for what happens after the ball hits the ground with from the first to the second bounce, basically. Max plus 20 is what I'm using, and I'm bouncing on the fairway with taking the fringe, which is the plan all along, and the right spin then corrects the ball's direction and gets in the hole 4 and hole in 1. But you could see how close that pin now stands towards the beginning of the green and also the rough and sand patch there, and there is nothing wrong for those of you that you just want to take a safe route and just lock in the birdie, because there isn't really any other ways of playing here if you're not going to spend any special ball by using backspin boost, or maybe you want to use topspin and do a sand bump, which also is very risky in itself. So bouncing on the fairway is the way to play here. Max plus 20, a tough new hole location here for hole number 2. Let's take a look at the drive here, and you can see that we have a slight headwind, and I would honestly be playing the same shot here regardless what wind direction you have. I'm going to play a max plus 15% adjustment, And if I have headwind or crosswind and tailwind, I would go max overpower. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to reach as far down the fairway possible. The further down we are, the more open it becomes to get an albatross on this tough par 5. But I would say in general, you're going to probably see this one as an eagle and run. And I'm not blaming you for thinking like that, because definitely in headwind the drive is very difficult to get in exactly the same way as we want, because we're going to have to use a lot of overpower, and then the second shot is going to be a tough one as well. When it comes to the second shot though, I do want us to play with the Guardian, and the reason I want us to play with the Guardian is to have a little bit better ball guideline, but also have a lot of backspin. So if we do have a long drive, which will happen in tailwind of tee most likely, that is that you can do the backspin and go behind the pin and roll back. Unfortunately, they have moved the pin and the hole a little bit more right, which means that they are not really standing into that massive funnel area that we're used to. However though, there is still going to be room to attack the pin, but it's going to be a much tougher albatross to get on a consistent basis. Max minus 5% elevation due to the slight uphill approach, and if we would have aimed just a little bit more left, we would have given ourselves a better look at albatross. But obviously with a bad ball guideline on Guardian level 4 there, it's not really going to be that easy to aim directly at the hole, or at least knowing that you're aiming directly at the hole. Tough one to get to drop in any wind, but with the play suggested here, we at least have an outside chance. So, when it comes to the new hole location here on hole number 4, you can see that the pin stands more right, which means that the rough bump is going to definitely be a much better attack than it were before, in my opinion. There's also a little funnel there, if I'm not looking at it incorrectly. So I'm going to use the ball guideline to go a little bit past the pin, but also right side of the pin due to its headwind and crosswind direction. I'm not ruling out that you can still play on the fairway before the rough, like to the left, but before those bumps there on the fairway. But I would say I do think that as the pin stands so much right now, we need to have a side spin 4 ball to not have to overuse the curl massively. Max plus 5 P2 numbers is what I would like to use. I use 1 decimal less here in the video, and you can see that I'm just burning the left edge. So 1 extra decimal would definitely be better. Hole number 5, the drive is played exactly the same way. We're gonna play over to the right hand side, trying to then attack the pin with our short iron. The problem here now is that they have moved the pin to be a little bit, what can I say, it was very centered onto the green before, a little bit more right than what it is now. So they have moved it to be closer towards the beginning of the green and also be more left. So they are basically moved the pin out of the massive funnel area that we do have here. So this par 4 is going to be much more difficult to drop on a consistent basis than what it was before, and that's honestly, that's a bit rude in my opinion. Max plus 10 on the drive is what we're using. We're using a little bit of curl to compensate if we do have a crosswind. The goal is to get the ball safely down the fairway on the right. Second shot, now, you can see me here now that I'm looking first and foremost for the funnel. You can see there is the funnel. It's basically 2-3 green squares right of pin. And even if I'm using side spin, I'm not going to be anywhere near close to be inside the funnel. Maybe if we are having the possibility to use 4 left spin or something like that. So in the end, I'm not going to play into a very glitchy area there. Then I'm actually going to attack the pin with backspin. Those of you that do have a good ball guideline, such as with Thorn 8 and Thorn 9, then you can actually do a max backspin shot and actually attack the pin from behind, instead of attacking the pin as I'm doing here now. Because now I'm using mid plus 10, but I'm having a lot of backspin. It's very difficult with not having then a fully developed ball guideline to read how to attack this hole. Sure, it's a safe birdie, but I leave this hole with a bit of a bitter taste due to that they removed the hole from the big funnel area. So again, this is gonna be a much tougher drop to get than what it was before, but as it is a short iron that we're playing with, and it is a short par 4, you will definitely see some eagles on your opponent's scorecard. So, on the drive, it's going to play exactly the same way as we're used to. That's going to be no changes whatsoever. I'm going to use the driver that gives us the most possible topspin. And I would say the big topper is not a bad choice here either, but 4.5 bar topspin, 3 left spin is definitely something that is enough at least to get over the bunker and the rough there in the center. Medium distance plus 10, as we're playing more closer to medium distance than what we do to max distance with our extra mile. The ball then will bounce on the fairway in between the two bunker sides there and lands nicely on the fairway. Now, they have moved the whole location for the second shot to be way more right than what it was before. So playing over to the left here, you can see me trying to find a ball guideline that somewhat would be anything good. But unfortunately, there is a lot of glitch spots and it's going to be more or less impossible to control how that ball is going to roll. So I'm choosing to go over on the right side instead. And as you will notice, there is a sticky spot there that I can wiggle back and forth. However, that is obviously by aiming way right of the pin. So if only having 3 left spin, which is I would say there's not that many of you that are watching here that will use a side spin 4 or side spin 5 ball. And then I would say that this is definitely going to be a shot that you're going to have to use curl. And I'm using outside wall left curl, but I would say you're going to have to use half a ball of curl instead. Bouncing on the fairway, and it gets up there, and we're having a safe eagle. Not really close for an albatross, but definitely if you have the possibility to use more side spin, that's going to be definitely way more interesting. And obviously if you have better club, so to speak, you then have more power, you might go for a rough bomb, can attack a little bit better. But I think that they have made this par 5 way tougher than what it was before with a new hole location. So, hole number 7, they have moved the pin and the hole more right, which means it's not that covered by the tree anymore, which, I mean, I welcome that. There is, however, an issue. So, we're gonna take a look at once we get there for the second shot. So, I'm laying up just as normal, using a quarterback, and trying to lay up shorter instead of longer here. I would say if you are completed min club like this, I would in that case use a little bit of underpower just to make sure I'm not going to be in between clubs on the second shot. Minimum distance plus 10, and I'm using a quasar, which is a power 1 ball. The idea here for this play is to find ourselves in a way to use the sniper from min distance, and you may wonder why. The reason why is that we do want to have a club with a good ball guideline. We don't have that with long iron here because we have lower level clubs. So you can see here now that they have moved the pin more right, and they have basically put the hole on top of a little mound, which means that you have very little room for error. Also, they have removed the possibility we had before to go past the pin and roll back using that little hill that honestly had a little funnel involved there too. So this one is going to be much tougher in my opinion to drop. Obviously we do have a chance and we're very close here. I would like you to play minimum distance plus 15 from complete minimum distance line with spin to pin. There is a way as well where you can actually bounce over the water now on the right side, lay up a little bit short, and then you have a short iron to pin. But the same thing applies there. If you have a bad ball guideline, lower level clubs with a short iron, then it's better to lay up and using the snipe before its ball guideline. Otherwise, you will still be lost using a crappy ball guideline. So, hole number 7, they have moved the hole more right, which gives us an open shot towards the pin, but they have removed the possibility of using the little funnel that we had before. So it's kind of like, I don't know really if I'm going to like it or not, but at least it's interesting. So, hole number 8 plays very similar to what we are used to. They have moved the hole a little bit more to the left of the green based on as we are viewing it from the tee. So I'm gonna use one left spin. I'm gonna use very similar spins to what I've been doing before, 3.2 backspin in this type of angle, using the spot between the two shadow parts. So I'm using where it's sunny on the fairway to bounce up. Obviously, when playing with such a bad ball guideline, it's going to be impossible to know if you're aiming directly at the hole or if you are just slightly off. Maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment, and I'm using a Marlin ball as I don't really believe that we need any better ball here, because it's an open fairway. It's gonna be very easy to just be getting a birdie, but obviously with this suggested adjustment here, we do have a chance for an hole-in-one. Hole number 9 is already, with the old hole locations, very difficult to get anything else than an eagle, and they have just made it even worse than that. So, but what we are gonna do is that we're gonna use preferably a side spin 3-ball such as a kingmaker, but I do want to stay away using kingmakers here in this whole guide and also in the playthrough. So I'm using a Titan, and therefore I'm gonna have to use a little bit of curl to the left. 2 left spin, and no top spin or backspin is preferred in this angle. Obviously that will be changed depending on what type of direction you have off tee. Now comes the difficult part. Here I would say, if you have the possibility to play with a powered 5-ball off tee, such as a berserker that you can win for free in the golden shot, then do that, because this shot here now, we do have loads of trees, but we have no way of attacking the pin. But look how far they have moved the pin to the right. It used to be way more left than what it is now. So what they have done here is that they have created a situation that if we just trickle onto the green, it will most likely be an overpowered putt. So we're gonna have to think about this in 2 ways. One, we're going to have to let the ball roll over the green or go short of green and to have a wedge towards the pin, or we're going to have to use a lot of curls such as that, but then be very cautious of the spins that we're using, so we're not getting stuck into the rough or that we're rolling too far into the rough on the back. But that would make it possible then to be on green for a putt. And I would say here from front tee, even if we do have a tailwind off tee, you're not able to play the way that we're doing from second and third tee, where we bounce over the water to the left and have an open shot for an albatross. This is going to be an eagle and run 100% of the time. So make sure to pack the longest wood club you have. Make sure to pack the ball that gives you the most power. Those 2 things is going to be very valuable, but you will notice loads of birdies on your opponent's scorecard on this very tough par 5 here, hole number 9. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division for the Party Paris 2. Yes, these are the Party Paris with somewhat new hole locations. The only time we've had it before was when we played it in the Grand Parade tournament back in the day. Make sure that you do subscribe to the channel. Also get yourself a Patreon package through the QR code or in the description down below. Thank you once again for watching. Good luck in the Golf Clash game.